So, down in the garage this week we finished taking apart the compressor. Copeland scroll, massive great big job really as scrolls go in my line. And here are all of its internal pieces. Shell casing completely removed. It's missing a couple of little bits and bobs but nothing too major. I thought you'd like to get to see the scale of this thing and how gorgeous it is. You've got some beautiful cast bits of metal, very nicely machined. Yeah, so there you go. In pieces, we've learnt a little bit since the last video. In pieces, we've got this at the top, which had the very simple non-return valve. That's actually critical to how the compressor wears, and the reason Copeland compressors wear in, they don't wear out, which is in a minute. So, the top scroll plate. A couple of things I didn't pick up last time was the level of wear that I've got on this. In places, I'd say this has lost maybe nearly 2 mil of metal through its life, and that's just the top plate. That one doesn't move. This one has lost easily the same amount. The wear lines on it are amazing. Actually, it's gorgeous. This compressor, I believe, is about 10-12 years old. It's certainly done its due, let's put it that way. On the back again, you've got more wear lines. You've also got, I don't know whether you can see these, but we've got small circles and spirals. This is bits and bobs getting caught inside there where it's oscillating around. You can actually see the size of the oscillation, which is pretty tiny really. Yeah, amazing how small that is. But that's pretty cool. Right, now, gorgeous bits of metal. This is the top, I don't know, housing plate, supports, I guess. Everything spins on this. You can see the CNC work in here is delicious, absolutely gorgeous. Lots of oil channels actually. Oil is fed through and around this compressor in a multitude of different ways. We've got them down here, in here, up here, a whole gully here which drains away, takes it apart. So this plate, the oscillating plate, would sit onto there and move around. There's a bit missing here, we'll get to that in a minute. There's a bit missing. That's the bit that's all broken and smashed to pieces. Bearings. So the top bearing, I haven't been able to crack this bearing. I haven't got a pulley. I haven't got a bearing puller. But both of these, the internals look okay. Everything seems to move very smoothly and fine. This one, which fits inside the oscillating plate, actually has a surprising amount of tarnish and wear. All on one side as well. Don't know what that indicates in particular, but yeah, there is definitely some wear on there. That is not looking particularly healthy. So, bit of fun. Right, counterweight, because the oscillating plate runs off centre, so that oscillates with it again. Whoa, lovely bit of metal. We liked all of this. And this is the actual rotor. Now you'll notice I've removed some of the more valuable metal. The copper's gone, 5 kilos of copper. Not too bad, probably not entirely worth ripping one of these to pieces if you don't do it all day, every day. For me, I don't know, it's been more interesting finding out how this thing works and some of its clever little features more than the actual weight of copper that's come out of it. It probably cost me about the same in grinding blades, just because I didn't know where I was meant to be cutting. The next one will be cheaper. So, lovely bearing, really smooth, just keeps on running and running. Oil channels, so oil pump. Down the bottom here, in the bottom of the rotor, is a small star washer, which is pretty cool. It's very simple. Centrifugal force then sucks the oil up and through and it comes out of these channels inside here. So one of those ditches into our bearing, keeps that on nicely lubed up. In fact, there's a hole that goes the entire way through that, so it's going to the outer surface and the inner surface. Yeah, there will be the same inside here. Ditches out the top, goes into the gullies, oils every single component in here, which is incredibly clever. The simple things, simple, right? Yeah, absolutely. You know, oil returned down to the compressor shell in a number of places as well. So the oil comes back down, mixes with the suction gases, cools down, and comes back up and through. Well, not cools down, but yeah, you know what I mean. Bit of aluminium, beat up. I have to say, very beaten up. The bits of metal that we found floating inside here have not done any of this any favours. I don't imagine that's been very healthy for it at all, but that doesn't matter anymore. And this has got to be my favourite bit of metal of all. This is gorgeous. I've cut it with grinding blades, I've scratched it while I'm taking out the copper, I've done all sorts of things, but this is just lovely. Economy of purpose, I guess, you know. I don't think they were meant to be artistic when they designed this, but that's how it's ended up. Yeah, it's lovely. Bottom bearing looking nice and clean and clear and everything like that. It came with a magnet. There's a magnet inside here which collects iron filings. These are obviously designed to wear, so once they're worn and everything like that, this collects those iron filings and stops them damaging the rest of the components by being transported with the oil. All of the oil would come up through here. Yeah, I've got a little bit of plastic that went in there. It's gone. It's rubbish. But that is a lovely bit of metal. I want to get that out. I want to get the stator out. That's not particularly nice, but the rest of it is gorgeous. I don't know what I can do with it. Do you know what I mean? But I like to keep useless things, and that might be one of them. I should really turn all of this into beer tokens. That one again, gorgeous bit of metal. What can I do with this? Go on. Ideas, please. What the hell can I do with that? But it's absolutely delicious. And I think that's about it for these. The top plate. Now this is very clever. So you've got the two oscillating plates that sit together with a guide. Let's do that first. Right, so bit of aluminium floating around inside this compressor. Turns out this is a cycloid converter. Now, I like those words, I don't know if you do, but this is definitely symptomatic of the damage done to this compressor. You can sort of see where we're going. I found these little pieces. This is essentially the guides that, well, that's that one. The guides that would go along the ends here. So these pieces, these pieces slot in and move like this, and essentially it stops a rotation and turns it into an oscillation the correct way. Now, as you can see, well, as I hope you can see from here, let's have a go. This thing's shattered, absolutely knackered. Interestingly, there's very fresh brakes. There is twisting. There is rub wear. So bits of this have snapped and then rubbed against each other for a while. Again, the bottom of that's been worn and rubbed rather than just straight up snapped. So there you go. That sits in between the two plates, I believe. Yeah. So it runs on these channels here and on these channels here, and just creates the motion that you want on there without, yeah, the rotation. Knackered, shattered. I don't think that's what's caused the fault. I don't think that's what's killed this compressor. I think it's a symptom of the other problems it was having. But clever things this compressor does. So the plates sitting against each other, these two oscillating, doing their thing, wearing away. The tolerance between these two is critical. It creates the compression. If it's leaking, letting by, then it's knackered, it's never going to work. What we've got halfway, well, 2/3 of the way I guess, through this scroll are two small holes which take partially compressed gas and put it inside this chamber here. I noticed this plate had two rings, which confused me a little bit. Essentially the seal here at the top is against the big top plate, yeah, the discharge gas will go into there. But these two seals, essentially, what it does is it takes that partially compressed gas and feeds it into this channel, which pushes this both up against the seal, meaning the seal is kept there, the discharge gas goes where it's meant to go, doesn't head anywhere else. But it also pushes this plate down. It pushes this plate down against its running partner. So these compressors wear in, they don't wear out. The wear on here, although it looks, you know, fairly heavy, but I mean 10 years worth of running, if there hadn't have been a catastrophic failure, a massive leak essentially, all the refrigerant escaping from this system and the LP device failing so the compressor ran on, this should have kept on running for probably another 5 years. And that's all because of little bits like this and your oil channels and stuff. The very sensible, clever way of doing things. Yeah, there you go. It has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed taking this apart. There are some cracking bits of metal which I am probably going to keep, and some bits that I'm going to scrap, turn into beer tokens. But that's about it, I think. Oil. Right, last thing. Let's show you this. Right. So, dirty, disgusting, horrible oil. You probably saw me flooding my garage with oil last time I was down here. There's a green texture to it, a green colour. That's a fluorescent dye in the oil to help with a leak that it's had in the past. As far as I understand it, this stuff kills compressors. We don't use it. Yeah, so this may well have been one of the causes. I'm fairly certain it was the catastrophic leak, to be fair, but if you mix it up and actually have a look at this stuff. Now, I hope this comes out in the video, but wow, the metallic quality of that oil it's like a deep gun metal silver you get for your car. It is so metallic, it's untrue. Yeah, so that I believe is a slowly but surely, it's done it through its life, slowly but surely wearing itself away. Oh, look at all them beer tokens. Yeah, so there you go, those are all of my bits of funky metal. Yeah, there you go. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I have been doing in the garage this week. And there's my fiberglass getting sanded by Neil, and that's what I haven't been doing in the garage this week, which I probably should have been. Sorry, Neil, but yeah, this has been much more fun. Cool. Yeah, enjoy. Thank you. Bye-bye.